And if you do have any questions, you will see on the right hand side of your screen you do have a Q&A panel. Simply direct those questions to the host, which will be listed as partner team, which is me, and I'll be able to field those throughout today's presentation. So without further ado, Mr. Dale Dixon.
Thanks very much, Dave. So just give me a second while I share my desktop and we'll jump straight into it. So hopefully you're seeing a slide now that talks about what's happening in product land, and I'll be talking about our priorities for the remainder of 2012 and what you can expect delivered from MYOB and what we're actively working on, and I'll also be talking about our priorities going into 2013. During the presentation today you'll hear about the delivery when MYOB Premier will be delivered on top of the new platform. I'll be talking about empowered services, we're talking about the API, delivery of mobile applications, and some really exciting new transactional services that we'll be adding into the product on top of the MPS capabilities that we have today. So without further ado, let's jump into 2012. So 2012 has been a really big year for us, and 2012 will see the delivery of the Account Right Live platform, which is the result of many years' work by MYOB to deliver a cloud platform that will allow us to build a whole lot of exciting things on top of that platform moving forward. The real core of that platform is the delivery of Account Right Live, and Account Right Live is designed to allow partners to be able to provide better support to your clients, so giving you the ability to be able to log in from your office and work on your client company files at the same time as your clients are working on those files. I'm sure you've all had the situation where you've taken a copy of your client's file on a USB stick, you've taken it back to your office and you've told your client, don't work on that file while I have this, I've got some important work to do. Once you've completed the work, you take it back to the office only to find out that your client didn't listen and they've made changes. And yeah, it's a pain to rekey that information, but even a bigger pain is trying to work out what has changed between those two versions of the file in order to work out what you actually have to rekey in the first place. So Account Right Live is designed to give you the ability to be able to log into your client's company file from your office and have your client be logged into that same company file at the same time, and for both of you to be able to work on the same company file and the same data at the same time, eliminating the chances of those, I guess, conflicts occurring with two different versions of the same company file being around. Account Right Live also looks to provide the ability for clients themselves to be able to work from multiple locations. And I've talked before about my sister-in-law's business where she's at home and she does the books while she's looking after the kids, and they have the laptop in the office with the MYOB file sitting on the laptop, and at the end of the day that laptop gets brought back home and the books are done outside of hours. Account Right Live would allow now my sister-in-law and the store to both be logged in working on the same file at the same time, removing that constraint of the company file has to be on the computer that you're working on it. So let's just drill in a little bit more and have a look at what actually Account Right Live offers. So as I talked about, Account Right Live provides the ability for you to access your company file information from anywhere you are, providing you have Account Right installed on the computer in which you're accessing that data. And if you have Account Right installed on that machine, you're able to sign in and you'll automatically see all of the company files, all your client's company files, which you've been invited to have access to. So Account Right Live also provides you the ability to invite other people to have access to that company file, and once they accept that invitation, they will then have the ability to log in and collaborate with you. Account Right Live still provides the same security controls that the product provides today, giving you the ability to set up one Account Right Live user that just has access to sales, and perhaps the bookkeeper as another user that has access to all of the accounts. Account Right Live also introduces multi-user and concurrent multi-user to our entire range of products. So unlike today where Account Right Basic, Standard and Plus are single user versions of the software, Account Right Live will provide multi-user capabilities for Basics, Standard and Plus users, meaning that more than one person can be logged into an Account Right Basics file at the same time and be working together. And that's a really important capability that we wanted to make available with Account Right Live, because now that you have that access from multiple locations, we want to encourage that collaboration and it was prohibitive to limit multi-user just to the Premier product range, which provides a lot of more complex features for larger businesses, where many businesses require multi-user access, but they don't require full inventory system or full payroll. So they're able to select the product that's right for them without needing to worry about the multi-user capability. Account Write Live, unlike a lot of cloud providers on the market today, will also give you the ability to take a local copy or a local backup of your cloud company file. Account Write Live will also allow you to work on your company file while you're offline. So Account Write Live provides what we call a checkout capability, which effectively checks the file out of the cloud, moves it down to your desktop. When you do that, the cloud company file is locked, so any other user that logs in will get read access only to that cloud file. But the user that's checked out the file is able to continue to work even when they don't have an internet connection. Once they get their internet connection re-established, they're able to recheck that file back into the cloud. An example of that, and David's given this example many times before, is I need to go on a flight to Sydney and I'd like to do some work on my company file while I'm on the flight. So I can check that file out, work on the file while I'm on the plane, on my laptop, without needing an internet connection. When I get off and plug back into the office in Sydney, I can check the file back in. Account Write Live leverages the same interface that clients use on the desktop also. So regardless of whether you're using Account Write Live in the cloud or Account Write Live on the desktop, it is the same interface that you're familiar with. So you don't need to learn a different product to take advantage of the cloud capabilities. This is just a visualization to really, I guess, drive home the power of being able to work on the same company file from multiple locations. So here you can imagine multiple users in different locations all being logged in, working on the same company file at the same time. So if the person in the office puts an invoice in and saves that invoice, the accountant will see that invoice immediately. So I want to spend a little bit of time about talking about what the difference with Account Write Live is, because it's quite a different solution to other cloud providers that exist on the market today. Firstly, it's a fully integrated solution. So the power of the Account Write system that you know today, with full inventory system, full payroll system, jobs, categories, you name it, exists within Account Write Live. So you can pick the set of features that you need for the complexity of your business. And if your business grows, you're able to turn that functionality on within the product as your business grows and as you need that capability. Talked about the ability to take the company file offline and work on that file even though you don't have an internet connection. But another really big benefit of the Account Write Live system, I think what really sets it apart, is the ability for Account Write Live to take point-in-time backups back to your local computer. So I'm sure most of you use what I would refer as point-in-time backups today, as being BAS agents. Many of you are. You're more than likely to file a backup of the company file away with each BAS submission. And likely you do that because if you're ever called into question over that BAS submission, you're able to restore that company file and you're able to have a look at the information that made up that BAS submission. A lot of people also create backups before they do pay runs. They also create backups before they do mass import of, let's say, stock items. And you do that just in case something goes wrong or the import file was incorrect, because it allows you to revert back to the state the company file was in before that task was done. So Account Write Live continues to provide that capability. Even though you're working in the cloud, you're still able to take those local backups on your local computer and file them away for use later, or restore those local backups back to the cloud if something was to go wrong. Account Write Live also provides the option to keep a local shadow copy of the cloud company file on the local computer. So typically in the general use case of Account Write, you're all connected to the cloud and you're all working at the same time. But Account Write in the background can be set up to automatically keep a local copy on your local computer up to date with what's in the cloud. So every 20 minutes, Account Write checks, has there been any changes to the cloud? If there has, it brings just those changes back down to the desktop computer and stores it there. So if you were to disconnect from the internet and you wanted to get access to your data, you're able to open that local file in a read-only mode and access all the information within that file. So you could look up outstanding invoices for your customers, you could look up address information on your cards without requiring any internet connection at all. The AccountWrite Live product doesn't force businesses to go to the cloud. AccountWrite Live gives you the option to have your company file in the cloud and take advantages of all of the collaboration features and multi-user capabilities. Or AccountWrite Live allows you to continue to work locally on your desktop just like you do today, or perhaps set up a networked environment within your office and have multi-user capabilities into that network installation of AccountWrite Live. So regardless of how you choose to work, and for partners this will be important because I'm sure you have some clients that want to take advantage of the cloud, you have others that want to stay working on their local desktop as they do today, and you have clients today that work in a local network within their office. You're able to continue to support all of those different clients through exactly the same product that's installed on your machine. So the AccountWrite Live product that you install on your machine can open a local file, a cloud file, or a network file, all through exactly the same interface. AccountWrite Live has been now in pilot for the last 3 months, and we are slowly bringing more and more users onto the AccountWrite Live platform. And currently we have around 550 businesses actively using AccountWrite Live to run their business with. We're continuing to ramp this up before launch, and the goal of this is to ensure that the people that are using the system are having a good experience with the product before we make it available to the entire market. We're monitoring the satisfaction of our pilot users really closely, and the goal here is to learn. So we want to learn about what's working well, areas that we could improve, and incorporate that feedback back into our product development and to be able to provide continuous updates to continually improve that platform. The intent here is that our customers that are on the pilot will be the ones that will tell us when the product is ready to go live to everybody. And you as our partners are vital to the success of this pilot program. So if you haven't already, you will receive an invitation inviting you to be part of the pilot. And I encourage you to have a look. You've got a couple of options. You could decide to go live with your own business and your own company file, or you could choose to put a sample file up into the cloud just so that you can familiarise yourself with the product and provide any feedback on the system that you can back to us to give us an opportunity to incorporate that feedback back into our product development. I thought it was just interesting to share some statistics around the AccountWrite Live pilot, and this was taken about a month ago actually now, and we probably only had about 200 users on the system at that time. It may have even been less, but at that time we'd had over 2 million service calls made to our servers, and a service call effectively is save that invoice, open that card, save that card. Each one of those events is a service call. So it's really interesting to see just the number of transactions that are coming into the platform. It's interesting also to see the times of the day that people are actually using AccountWrite Live, and we have continuous load on our servers from about 6 in the morning through to 11 o'clock at night, and then the load starts to drop off. So people obviously are working really long hours. They're working early in the morning and they're working late at night. Over 50% of those company files are being used every single day, and that surprised me a little bit. I thought for many very small businesses they'd be more likely to do their books once a week or every couple of days, but over half of everybody that's on the pilot are accessing their company files every single day. The highest usage seems to be around 10 o'clock in the morning, and Wednesday and Friday are the busiest days, and this was pointed out at our road shows that this is probably due to payroll being processed on those days. We're able to see the volume of transactions that are coming into our system. We can't see the transaction data, but we can see how often the sales service, for example, is called. And sales today is sees the highest volume of transactions coming into the platform, only slightly beating spend money. So what are we hearing from the pilot? It's great that we are getting active feedback from most of the people that are on the pilot. And these are just a few verbatim comments that I've pulled out of some of the surveys. So people are really having, in general, a good experience with the product, and they're seeing that the feedback that they're providing is continually being incorporated back into the product, and the product is getting better and better. people are really enjoying the ability to work in multiple locations, and I think this particular comment came from a partner. That partner today has a bookkeeper that works for her in her main office, and the bookkeeper does all of the bookwork on the company file. And up until now, while this partner has been out on the road using time billing, all of the timesheets and everything are kept manually, brought back into the office and then keyed in by the bookkeeper. With AccountWrite Live, this partner is now able to enter their time billing activities while out on the road, at the same time as the bookkeeper is in the office working on the books. And this has really changed the way that partner is doing business and making that whole business a whole lot more efficient. We're still finding that there's some areas of the product that are still running slower than what we would hope. These typically have tended to be around reports and printing of forms, and we're a long way down the path of actually making significant changes in all of those areas to ensure that when AccountWrite Live goes live, those areas will have been addressed and the performance issues will be very much improved. Clients that are on the pilot are finding the pilot quite stable, which is really encouraging to hear. Some clients are finding it slightly less responsive than the desktop, but only slightly. And in fact, some clients are finding that the cloud is actually working faster than the desktop, which surprised me at first, but when you think about it, in the cloud we have very large servers with very big CPUs able to process information really quickly. Many clients have slower computers, maybe 8 or 9 years old, that aren't able to process the information as quick as the servers. And the servers are able to process that information and send it back to the computer faster than the computer is able to do the processing itself. So some of the feedback has been really encouraging to say that the cloud is actually working faster than it is on the desktop. So based on all of this, what's still to be done? So we're continuing to incorporate not just the feedback that's coming from the pilot, but also feedback that's coming from the users of the AccountWrite 2012 product that's in the market today, because it's very important to address all of those issues that are coming back through so that our clients have a good experience. As I said, speed and performance is a big focus, specifically around reports and forms. But what's become really clear talking to a lot of clients is that it's not just about how fast something saves, it's about how quickly I can key the data into, let's say, an invoice layout or a spend money layout in the first place. And there are I guess a handful of annoyances within the AccountWrite 2012 product that really slowed this down. For example, not being able to use the full stop as a date separator. That's now been resolved and will be fixed in the next release. For example, when I go into a customer card drop down and I type DA and the product says, I think you want Dale, and I press tab, it should just take me out to the next field. Instead, the product was popping up a dialogue and asking me, do I want Dale or David? And you need to pick. So it just slowed down the whole data entry process. The calculator control in the new product caused a lot of confusion and annoyance. That has also been resolved. So we've really focused in not just on improving the time it takes to record particular types of transactions, but also how long it takes to key those transactions in the first place. And the next update, you should see a vast improvement in those areas. The other thing we've focused heavily on is the update experience, and we're continuing to focus on that. So that is both how quickly and easy is it to install the product in the first place, and then how quickly and easy it is for that product to be updated with any updates that MYOB launches into the market. We want that whole experience to be quick, painless and easy. So a whole lot of focus has gone into that area also. If you would like to be involved in the pilot, once the email comes through, the email will look something like this, which will explain what the pilot is all about. When you click the Get Started button, you'll get a form that just validates your email address. And the email address is important because this is your login into the my.myb service. And that my.myb username is what is used by AccountWrite Live to determine who you are and which company files you've been invited to have access to. So it's really important that my.myb password and username is correct. Once you've done that, you'll be asked to set up an account for our forum, our AccountWrite Live forum. And this forum is used which will allow you to view other people's comments around the pilot, but also allow you to contribute to that forum and provide feedback back into MYB. Once you've gone through these steps, you'll receive one last email, and that email will explain how to download the latest version of AccountWrite Live. Once you've downloaded and installed that version, it's a simple matter of signing in, and you'll be able to get started straight away. So it's quite a straightforward process. So what's our release plan for AccountWrite Live? As I mentioned, the pilot's available to you today. You should be confident that being on the pilot will also allow you to upgrade to the final version that's made available to everybody. So we consider the pilot product a product that is fit for market, and it will be upgradable to every version from now on. So you shouldn't feel like if you come onto the pilot you'll be stuck. You won't. You'll be able to continue to upgrade to every update that MYB provide moving forward. All cover clients will get a free update to AccountWrite Live upon its release, meaning that which doesn't mean that they all need to go to the cloud, but it means that they'll be able to take advantage of many of the new improvements and updates, even if they're still working on the desktop. Current feedback indicates the launch is likely to be in the Q4 timeframe, and that's calendar year Q4, so that's October, November or December. Currently it's looking like a November release, but it very much depends on the feedback that we're getting from our client participants and how quickly we're able to integrate that feedback back into the product itself. But if you would like to be part of the pilot, or you have clients that would like to be part of the pilot, please put yourself or your client forward, because we would be happy to have you involved in the pilot now. I want to just talk briefly about AccountWrite version 19, because I'm sure people say, great, it's great that we're getting all this new stuff, but I've got clients that want to stay on version 19 today. They're using functionality that's still not available in the new platform. Can they? And they absolutely can. So AccountWrite version 19 is still fully supported. We will be doing compliance updates on the version 19 product in 2013 and very likely 2014. We want to make sure that clients are able to upgrade when they're ready. And I think clients upgrade because they see value in the product they're upgrading to. And that's only done by providing great new features in the upgraded products that those clients see value in. And for example, that could be clients that see value in having multiple users, accessing the company file from multiple locations. So being able to put your company in the file in the cloud might be one of those reasons. Another reason may be the bank feeds capability, which I'm going to talk about shortly, which might be another great reason for those clients to upgrade. But it's important that they're able to upgrade when they're ready to. If you have new clients in which you think version 19 would be a better fit, those clients are able to purchase the latest version of AccountWrite, which at this stage would be 2012, but you are able to install version 19 and activate a version 19 company file for those clients if you think it's a better fit. The other thing I want to give you guys a heads up on, if you're not aware already, but Windows 8 is fast coming down the path. It's currently scheduled for release on October 26th. MYB plans to fully support Windows 8 across our current product range, so that includes version 19, AccountWrite 2012, Retail Manager, Asset Manager Pro, and a bunch of other products. So we'll be fully supporting Windows 8 on our current product range. We're in the process of testing all of our products on Windows 8 at the moment, and we know that version 19 today does not work on Windows 8, and we're working really closely with Microsoft to resolve that, because it turns out that one of the reasons it's not working is because of a defect in Windows 8. So the intent is to have that resolved by Microsoft, and for us to provide updates if necessary to ensure that those products are running on Windows 8 properly. But I would encourage you with your clients to ensure that if clients are considering upgrading to Windows 8, make sure that they test all of their applications that they rely on to ensure that those applications work once they've upgraded to Windows 8. Because the last thing you want is for them to upgrade only to find out that one of their applications doesn't work correctly that they rely on. So it's something just to make your clients aware of. So the other thing that is a priority for us and is well down the development path for 2012 is what I like to call live bank feeds. And every time we go out and test the name live bank feeds with clients, it never resonates very well. But some common comments from clients are, it sounds like you're feeding a monkey. So why it doesn't make sense to us. So that name is likely to change, but that's what we're calling it internally at the moment. So what is live bank feeds? What it is it provides the ability for you to connect AccountWrite or AccountWrite Live with your bank, and for AccountWrite to be able to bring in the bank statement information from the bank automatically. And we do that through our BankLink agreement. So that allows you to register to have your credit card account, your statement account, automatically be brought into AccountWrite, in most cases on a daily basis. So every time you log into AccountWrite, your bank statement is refreshed, and any transactions that happened overnight will automatically appear in the bank statement sitting in AccountWrite. But it's not just about getting the statement in, because let's face it, it's not all that hard to import a QUIF file today. It's about what you do with that statement information that's really the important thing. So what BankFeed sets out to do is to add intelligence around that bank statement information. So if I have the first line of my bank statement is a deposit, AccountWrite will look to see, is there a deposit in the system that I can match this to? If there is, great. Suggest that this should be marked to be ready to be reconciled. If there isn't, have a look to see whether this could be a payment for an invoice that's in the system. And if there is, then suggest that a payment be created against that invoice once the user approves it. If there isn't, then have a look to see, is there a user rule that's been set up to say, if I see David Wilson on the bank statement, automatically suggest that I create a transaction journaling that to rent, for example. Not that I rent property to Dave. So you can start to see the power of that capability. And if AccountWrite isn't able to match anything to that statement line, then ask the user, what would you like to do? Would you like to find a transaction that you know you've already entered into AccountWrite? Or would you like to create a new transaction directly off this bank statement line? And if you choose to do that, automatically populate the date, automatically populate the amount, and automatically populate the transaction ID or the check ID with the transaction ID directly off the statement. And the goal here is to improve the speed in which users are able to get the information into AccountWrite, provide better visibility into their financial state, because let's face it, if they're able to get the transactions into the system faster, they're able to get a better picture of how their business is actually performing. And the idea also is to speed up the whole bank reconciliation process. We've also added some collaboration features, allowing clients to add notes against the statement line to provide that information to you, to allow you to have more information on how you can code off that transaction. I thought it was worth just sharing with you a little bit about the process that we went on to develop this feature. And we're calling that process customer-driven development. And really that's all about, before we build anything in the product, and before we really even decide what we want to build, let's go out and understand how customers are using the software today to get a feel for opportunities of where we can actually improve that process and make it faster. So part of this exercise went out and we talked to about 80 clients, partners, bookkeepers, accountants, of all sorts of different business sizes and types, to try and get an understanding of how they work today. And the idea there was to really start to map out what we call a customer journey of the process that they would go on to use a feature like this. It's all very well to build a great new feature within the product, but if the sign-up process, for example, is so convoluted and difficult that they can't actually get through the sign-up process, then they'll never see the great value that the new feature offers. So it's really important to understand every touch point along the way to ensure that clients are able to easily move through, adopt the new feature, and take advantage of its benefits. So after we'd gone out and tried to understand the problem domain that we're trying to solve, the next thing we did was wireframed up some ideas. And wireframe is just a fancy term for some drawings of some concepts and ideas of how this might actually look. So again, we don't write any code, we don't even involve the developers at that stage, because what we're trying to do is understand what works well, what's easy to understand, what's hard to understand, so that we're able to make those changes quickly and easily. So the first wireframe that we drew up I actually did myself, and I used the existing bank register screen as sort of inspiration, but tried to incorporate bank statement information and transaction information into the same screen, thinking, well, this will work really well because everybody's really familiar with it. I'm sure this will test great. So out we went and we spoke to customers, and as part of that process I learned very quickly that I'm not an interaction designer and probably shouldn't be designing user interfaces because it tested terribly. But we learned an enormous amount from that initial test. And that wireframe probably took me 3 or 4 hours to mock up in the first place. And we quickly learned what worked well and what didn't work well. So we came back to the office and went, well, how could we improve this? So a colleague of mine had a go at the second wireframe, trying to solve some of the difficulties from the first. And we took that out and tested that with a different set of users, because we don't want to talk to the same ones again, because once we talked to them the first time we've spoilt them, and we did a whole new batch, because what we're looking for is first impressions and how quickly and easy it is to understand what they're looking at. So we took that wireframe out, and my colleague has also discovered that she's not an interaction designer either and probably shouldn't be building user interfaces. But again, we learned an enormous amount. And look, there was probably 7 or 8 or 9 different wireframes throughout this whole process. And what we started to learn was that the process that users went through today was to have their bank statement in front of them, and for many of them it was a matter of going down the bank statement list with a ruler and crossing out the lines as they went through that process. So we thought, well, how can we model that in software? So this wireframe, and don't worry, this isn't the final design either, but it's just another evolution of the thinking. And what this shows is on the left-hand side the bank statement, and on the right-hand side the transactions that are being matched out of account right. And in the middle, a set of actions that can be performed on those lines. So we took this out to a set of clients, and again a different set of clients, and we found that this actually tested a lot better, but there was still an enormous amount of confusion as to what was on the left-hand side and what was on the right-hand side, and what I was expected to do with each of these lines. People still felt that each line was just a single transaction, and it wasn't clear what they actually had to do with that line. So we came back and had another go. So this then tries to separate the right-hand side and the left-hand side, and using colour tries to highlight the actions that can be performed on each of those lines. So here you can imagine that first line, Officeworks, it's matched to an existing transaction in AccountRight, and it's asking the user to approve that transaction. Now this particular design tested a lot better. There were still things that we needed to improve, and there were still things that confused people, but the majority of users that this was put in front of got it very quickly, and it was quite intuitive for them. Again, this is not by any means the final design, but it's just getting on the journey of working out the concept of what we're actually going to develop. So we took that out and tested, and as I said, that tested much better. And remember, up until now, we've not written any code, we've not expended a lot of effort, because we've just drawn these pictures in Photoshop and PowerPoint, sometimes even sketching them on paper. So once we were getting close with the concept, we thought, well, now it's not just about looking at a screen, it's about how you actually interact with this screen. What happens when I press that approve button? What happens when I try and match a transaction? And we can't do that in paper. So what we did next was we built what we call an interactive prototype. And again, this isn't writing any code. In fact, our interactive prototype is just a web page that's been built up with images and pictures and links. This could have just as easily have been done in PowerPoint. But the idea again now is to be able to put something in front of customers with a set of scenarios and ask them to go through those scenarios and to talk through their thoughts of what they're thinking as they go through those scenarios. So this is the mock-up. So you get started. Hopefully it will work for me. And you can see the command center. And the idea is the user clicks banking, they click live bank feeds. And again, don't think too much about how this screen looks. It's not so much about how it looks, it's about the interaction that a user goes through. And the visual design elements are all coming after this. So the idea here is the user gets the bank statement, logs in using their my.myb credentials. When they do that, the statement is updated directly from the bank, so any new transactions will now appear on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, the product will try and match, based on all the rules I talked about earlier, to speed up the process of data entry. So on the left-hand side, you can see the electricity bill, and on the right-hand side, you can see that the product has automatically matched that statement line with a payment for a bill that had already been keyed into AccountRight. If I want to, I can drill into that bill and have a look at it. If I'm happy that yes, that was the payment for that bill, I simply click tick, and that will mark that transaction as ready to be reconciled. So if I was to go into the bank rec screen now, I would see that transaction as a grey selected line because it's been marked as ready to be reconciled because it's been matched to the statement within this screen. The second line here is slightly different. That's my gas bill, and AccountWrite couldn't find a transaction that had already been entered into AccountWrite, but instead there was a rule within the system that had been set up by the user to say if I see gas bill on my statement description, automatically suggest that I code that to the gas account. If I'm happy with that, I simply click tick, which will create the spend money transaction and then mark that spend money transaction as ready to be reconciled. If I'm not happy with that and say, well, no, that's not what I want to do, I can simply click the cross button, which will discard that suggestion, and then the client or the user can do whatever they need to do. So the idea here is that a user simply goes down the list, marking all of the lines that are correct. At the end of that, they now have 4 transactions within the system that have been matched with the statement lines on the left-hand side. I get to ANZ stationery supplies though, and I can see that the product hasn't been able to find any rules, any outstanding bills in the system that it was able to match to, and it's asking the user, what do you want me to do with it? And what I can do here is simply click new. I can say, well, this was a paid bill. It was actually a payment, a partial payment for a bill. So I'm going to click pay bill and enter that in manually. Or it was a spend money. So I'm going to do a spend money. When I click spend money, the check number field will automatically be populated with the transaction ID off the statement. The date will be populated with the statement date. The amount will be populated with the amount from the statement. Focus will be in the account number, and all you need to do is type the account number that you want to allocate that particular statement to. You might split it across multiple lines. Record that, and now it will be matched to that statement line. I approve it, and it's ready to be reconciled. The next one, my PayPal payment for $5.50. I'm probably obviously selling widgets online for $5.50, and I'm getting a whole heap of these because the product's found 12 matches that have already been entered into AccountWrite that this could be a possible match for. So it's a simple matter of the user clicking find transactions. It will list all the matches that it could match to. You simply tick the one it matches to and click match, and you're done. What we also found in user testing was that many people often found that the transaction that came through on the statement and the transaction that has been keyed into AccountWrite were often 1 or 2 cent difference. And what they wanted the ability to do was to easily find those variances. So I can't show you that in this mock-up, but what we've done in the Find Transaction screen is actually look for transactions that are 5 days either side of the transaction date, and I think it's 10 cents either side of the transaction amount. You can change those defaults, but the idea is there to be able to narrow down in that find window really quickly to help you find possible matches to that transaction that's come through on the statement. So I click match, click tick, and I'm done. Keep clicking tick. And again, in the bank rec screen, all these transactions are now marked as ready to be reconciled. We've still left the bank rec process the same as it currently is today. And we did that quite deliberately because what we found, talking to customers and partners, there's a lot of frustration around systems that are out there today that automatically reconcile the transactions as you go through this process. And the reason that frustration was there, it just made it far too easy to end up with duplicate transactions in the accounting ledger that don't then reconcile with what's on the bank statement. And it was very difficult to work out what was a duplicate, what's been matched. So using this process, this allows you now to go to the bank rec screen where all the transactions that have been matched to the statement will be grey, and any transactions that could be potential duplicates, or they could just be uncleared checks, which are perfectly valid transactions, you'll be able to see right there on the bank rec screen and make decisions based on that. So that's our interactive prototype. So we're actually quite a way down the development path now, and as we're developing it, we're continuing to run these tests of the product as we build it to continue to get that feedback. I'll just go back to my Prezi. So what we did with this interactive prototype is we went and actually had real clients actually go through scenarios with the prototype. And the idea there isn't to explain to the customer what this is meant to do and how it works. Instead, it's about this. You've just been presented with your bank statement, and what we want you to do now is go through and complete this screen. And then we would watch and listen to the thought process the client would go through. And this particular client, I can't actually play it unfortunately on a WebEx, but she talks through the find button and finds that really intuitive and really easy to use. The next client talks about how quick and easy this will be and how it will improve her entire process. And the very last client, this was actually one of the more complicated user tests that we did, and we tried lots of different things here, was how do we, on the screen, distinguish between what is a transaction that already exists within the system and what is a suggestion by the product to create a transaction. And on this screen, it's that green rule applied. So the little blue arrow, that's an existing transaction. The lines that have rule applied are just suggestions by the product to create that transaction. And this lady goes through that whole thought process, and she's able to get through that all on her own without any assistance, which is just fantastic. At the end of all these tests, we put up a whole heap of words and ask the users, what does this feature make you think of? And the bigger the word here is, the more common that word was used to describe this feature. So what we don't want to see is frustrating, ambiguous, too technical, being really big words, because that would indicate to us that this is just too hard to use. So it's really great to see things like useful, efficient, accessible, time-saving, being the things that come to the forefront here. So it's just another touch point. Hopefully you can all see the benefit of this capability. This feature will support over 100 banks, building societies and other financial institutions in Australia. It not only supports statement accounts but also supports credit cards. These are secure bank authorised feeds, and they have actually been approved by the bank and are being provided by the bank. They don't require you to enter internet banking credentials to get access to this statement information, because that often is breaching your internet agreement with your bank, because you don't want to provide those credentials to anybody, because having those credentials could mean you could do a lot more than just bring in statement data. Bank feeds will be available not just for people that have their company file in the cloud, but it will also be available for clients that want to remain on the desktop. So all of our clients will be able to take advantage of this great new feature. We're targeting this to be available with the launch of AccountWrite Live, which, as I said, is currently slated for November, depending on the amount of client feedback that we get back into that particular pilot. Better yet, bank feeds is intended to be provided for free as part of an existing cover subscription or a live subscription. So if you have clients that have an existing cover subscription, they will be able to take advantage of these bank feeds, if they choose to, free as part of that cover agreement, which is hopefully a great advantage of having that cover capability or cover subscription. And that's our bank feeds capability. So that's what we have for delivery in 2012, and I hope you're as excited as I am. I think it's some great new things coming through, and this is really just the beginning. And my next part of my presentation is talking about the priorities that we have moving into 2013. So not surprising, in 2013 we want to continue to round out our live offering by the delivery of AccountWrite Live Premier. So this is AccountWrite Premier on the new platform. As all of you know, Premier introduces multi-currency capability and in enterprise multi-location and negative stock. But AccountWrite Live Premier will also have the added advantage of being able to put your company file in the cloud and have access from multiple locations without having to buy expensive infrastructure. And it will also provide the bank feeds capability into Premier files also. Keep in mind, with Premier, in the past, multi-user was a driver for people to take AccountWrite Premier. With the introduction of AccountWrite Live, that's gone, because multi-user is now available in Basic, Standard and Plus also, providing you have an active cover subscription. We expect Premier to be delivered in the first half of 2013, and at this stage it's looking like it will be towards the latter of the first half, so in the April-May type of time frame, but that will very much be dependent on the amount of feedback that we're getting on the new platform and the improvements and enhancements we need to make to that platform to ensure that when we launch Premier, customers have a great experience. I'm going to jump to the side quickly now because I'm going to talk briefly about Account Edge, because we also have an exciting feature release for Account Edge coming very shortly. But just before I do that, I want to make it really clear to people that Account Edge is a different product line to Account Write Live. Company files that are created in Account Write Live cannot be opened in Account Edge, and vice versa. Account Edge, though, is absolutely a fully supported product of MYOB, and we will be continuing to enhance and support this product going right into the future. If you have clients that are on the Mac today and you just have a Windows computer and you need to be able to support those clients, we do have a Windows Partner Edition of Account Edge, which allows you to install Account Edge on your Windows computer, which allows you to open your client's Account Edge files on your Windows computer and work on that file, and then pass that file back to your clients. So you're still fully able to support your Account Edge customers on a Windows computer. Every time we do an update for Account Edge, we update the Windows Partner Edition at exactly the same time, so that you always have that product on the Windows computer so that you're able to support your clients. I always get asked though, what's the future of Account Write Live? Are you going to provide a Mac capability for the Account Write Live platform? And that is absolutely our vision. So Account Write Live not only puts the company file in the cloud, but it also includes all of the business logic, payroll rules, tax rules, inventory rules are all up in the cloud. And when you're working in the cloud, it's just a user interface on your computer that's talking to all of those rules and data. Our vision moving forward is to build a cross-platformed interface that will work on a Macintosh or a Windows computer or even a Linux computer, allowing you to log into the Account Write Live system, perhaps through a browser, from any type of device. And that is the vision of where we see Account Write Live going in the future. Initially, it is the Windows desktop client, but it will be a cross-platform interface option moving forward. Rest assured, for Account Edge customers that would like to go to Account Write Live in the future, we will be providing a cross-grade option so that Account Edge company files can be moved across seamlessly to Account Write Live. But if clients are happy with Account Edge and are happy with staying on the desktop, then they can absolutely do that, and we will absolutely be continuing to support Account Edge going forward into the future. And that's demonstrated by the feature release that we've got coming very shortly. So that feature release, you can expect a refreshed user interface. We've added mileage tracking to Account Edge, so within Account Edge you can record the kilometres that you're doing when you're going out and seeing your clients. We've added the ability to include summary information on the statement, so you can include more information than just the invoice line. You can include summary information against that line to give your customers more information about what that particular thing was all about. We've added a whole lot of smaller enhancements, including an age data summary on invoices, some new form templates, time billing activity rate levels. We've also added the ability for you to store your Account Edge backups in a Dropbox account online, and then that Dropbox backup folders can be accessed from other locations also. We've also added some improvements to security preferences, and all of these things and all the things I've talked about will be providing a lot more information closer to the release date to give you more detail on each of these individual features. We've also updated the mobile application for Account Edge, which currently is available on the iPad and the iPhone. We've added mileage tracking on the mobile devices so that you can track your kilometres while you're in the car or on your phone. We've also added the ability to include a logo on the invoices that are generated from the mobile application. And we've also improved the invoice and check numbering for those invoices and checks on the mobile app. Part of the feedback from the first version of this app was, I don't want my check number to start at 1 because it makes me sound like I'm a brand new business handing out invoices numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So you now have a lot more control over those invoice numbers directly through the mobile application. We've also added the ability to not only do service invoices on the mobile app, but you can also sell items on that app. And this update is coming very, very shortly. We expect this update to be available to you and clients very early 2013, in the January or February timeframe. So that's our exciting new Account Edge release. So what else can you expect in 2013? So we are going to continue to round out the transactional type services that are available in the Account Like Life platform, and that includes the introduction of empowered superannuation, payments, and the completion of empowered invoices. So empowered invoices is in Account Like 2012 today. The only thing that's missing is Import Assist. We are also planning to add support for the Standard Business Reporting Gateway available through the ATO, which will allow you to submit payment summaries and BAS statements through the SBR Gateway directly to the ATO. We're planning to deliver these services incrementally throughout the year. We don't want to wait a long period of time until they're all done. We want to provide the advantages of these services when they're ready. So once Super is ready, we will launch that. Payments may come later, SBR may come after that. So we're going to continuously provide value throughout the year. Gone are the days when MYB did one major feature release a year and that was it. Our model has changed with the new platform because the new platform allows us to do more frequent updates and to provide more continuous value to clients and partners. That doesn't mean that you need to take the update every time it's available. And as I talked about before, you would review that update, see whether any of the new features apply to you and are valuable. If they do, great, install the update. I also talked about that update experience being simplified earlier, and that's really important to allow these updates to be made available to people really easily and quickly. We're also doing a lot of work around providing the ability for third-party add-on providers to build solutions on top of the new Account Like Life platform. Up until now, those developers, we have about 800 add-on providers that build solutions on top of the version 19 product. But what we want to allow is for those add-on providers to build similar solutions and more solutions on top of the new platform. Today, those add-on providers interface or talk to the Account Like system through what's called an ODBC driver. An ODBC driver is Microsoft technology that is quite old now, and with the announcement of Windows Server 2012, Microsoft have announced that that ODBC driver will no longer be supported. So it's really signalled the end of life for ODBC, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the feedback that we get from all of our developer partners is the ODBC is really difficult to write to. It's not very reliable, it's slow, I can't do updates. I'd like to be able to do so much more. So we've taken a step back and we've made a decision not to provide an ODBC driver on top of the new platform, but instead provide a modern API. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's just a fancy name for how the third-party add-on provider talks to our product. So there are a lot more capable solutions out there today, and we will be providing a very modern API around the new platform, which will make it easier for add-on providers to integrate, but also open up a whole new set of solutions that they could provide, because the API will provide so much more functionality. The API will be provided not just for cloud, but also for desktop clients as well. This API is actually really critical for us. It's not just about allowing third-party applications to build solutions on top of the Account Like platform, but also allows us to build our own add-ons on top of the Account Like Live platform, for example, mobile applications. And mobile applications are a priority for us in 2013. Currently, our thinking is around providing the capability to look up contacts, create quotes, create invoices, record expenses on your mobile phone, and allow those all to be live added to the Account Like platform. We are going to take a very similar approach with the mobile app development that we did with the bank feeds process that I talked about earlier, to really understand what people are looking for from a mobile application and what types of things that we can do that will make business life a whole lot easier for those people out on the road using these mobile devices. The mobile app project will be an ongoing project, and as I talked about before, what we want to do is provide value early and then continue to provide value moving forward. So you can expect something hopefully quite quick, and then to continue to add more and more capabilities on top of that app moving forward based on what we're hearing from our customers and the problems that we're trying to solve for those customers. The API is also really important to allow other products offerings from MYOB to be integrated into this new AccountWrite platform. And one of those products is MYOB Atlas. And for those that aren't aware, MYOB Atlas is a product offering from MYOB that allows a small business to get a web presence and a website quickly and in a very cost-effective way. Over the last 12 months, we've also added e-commerce capability to the MYOB Atlas product, allowing businesses to sell goods online and take payment online through a PayPal integration. So what the API will allow us to do is to connect MYOB Atlas with AccountWrite Live. And you can imagine in AccountWrite Live, we have an inventory solution, being able to mark items within AccountWrite to sell online, have those automatically appear inside the Atlas web store, have those purchases made through the Atlas web store, have the payments feed back into the AccountWrite platform, into the general ledger, have the bank statement come in and automatically match to that transaction, really automating the whole purchase reconciliation process end to end. The API also gives us the ability to more seamlessly connect the products that we offer to accounting firms, which is Accountants Office and Accountants Enterprise. And these two products are used by accounting practices today to run their practice. So that provides billing capabilities, time tracking capabilities, a full tax system for tax returns, statutory reports, work papers, all sorts of different things within this product range. But a really important part of these products is for these products to be able to get access to the small business's data. So we will be integrating our accountant suite of products with AccountWrite Live. So within the accountant's products, I can connect, providing I've been invited by my client, to the client's file directly within Accountants Enterprise and Accountants Office, and produce live reports directly off of the real data. Really starting to connect the accountant and the SME more closely together by the introduction of what we call the Common General Ledger. So we have a really exciting 2012-2013 ahead of us. I hope you're as excited about some of the things that are coming down the path as we are. If you would like to be involved in any of the user testing of any of these features that you talked about, please pop us an email. Probably emailing David Wilson is probably the best way to go. He'll pass those details on to the product teams, and we'll be in touch when we're ready to start the testing of some of these features. So thanks very much for your time today. I hope you found it helpful and informative, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks very much.